And roll them. And
Mana Molly, little bit of love. Scene 2, handheld, take 3.
One. All I need is a little air, some for me, some for everywhere. And all I need is a little sun, some for me, some for every little bit of love, little bit of love, little bit of love, little bit of love.
And all I need is some water to drink, a quiet place where I can sit and think. And if I find me a pot of gold, I'll never forget about the rainbow.
Little bit of love, little bit of love, little bit of love, little bit of love.
Really what I'm trying to say is I need you,
And you, and you, and you.
every little bit of love you give me too. All I need is a happy home, someplace I wouldn't have to be alone. And it'd be nice to have some candlelight to light the fire in your heart at night.
Little bit of love,
It's all that I need.
little bit of love, and no need be greedy.
Little bit of love, sign love, peace, tree.
Little bit of love,
It's all that we need. Well, really what I'm trying to say is I need you, need you. And every little bit of love give me too. All I need is a little love, some for me, some for everyone. All I need is a little love, some for me, some for everyone. All I need is a little love. All I need is a little love.
every little bit of
All I
love.
need is a little love.
Oh yeah,
All I need is a little
everybody
love.
needs love.
All I need, all I need, all I need is a little
Oh
love.
yeah, some love.
All I need, all I need, all I need is a little love. All I need is a little love. All I need is a little love. Hey.
Welcome to Angel's Landing virtual Zoom service. Today we are dedicating this service to fathers everywhere, those with us in the here and now and those with us in spirit. And we're also dedicating this to our dear Dolores Schmacka, who had a fall and had some surgery on her broken leg. So send her prayers for healing and wholeness. Our speaker today is Deborah Eagle Cloud Ayers. And before we turn it over to her, I just wanted to say, besides Happy Father's Day, Happy Summer Solstice. We're into the second day of summer. Yesterday actually was the true summer solstice, but hey, we're celebrating it all weekend. And it's one of my most special days of the year. It's kind of like my summer Christmas. For over 30 years, I would gather my special women friends together, and we would have a wonderful gathering in my garden. And it was time to celebrate not only our friendship and sisterhood, but the sun, the life force that the sun brings to the earth, and the vitality and life force that we feel in our body in the summer. So summer is really a time all about light. So I just remind you to go outside today, take your shoes off, feel Mother Earth, do a little of that earthing that Deb taught us last Sunday, and soak up with your senses all that this summer day and the sun is pouring forth. Let your heart reflect that sunlight back into the world. We all need to lighten up and have more joy. Deb, what else can you share with us about summer solstice?
Oh, well, gosh, you said so much. Wonderful, wonderful introduction. And what you're talking about is the healing power that we have. Like, just stop for a second and imagine what our lives would be like without the sun. Because it's not just the darkness, and the darkness serves a purpose, and into the gift of the moon, but not this time, you know. But right now with the sun helps everything grow. It helps our plants and the cycles of, you know, growth, Mother Earth. So, you know, there's just so much healing that happens with the sun. And what you suggested is actually something that is a healing piece of summer solstice, which is sunbathing, and not the sun bathing that we think of, like, you know, back in the day, put the baby oil on and get out there, but just the basking, the sun basking more than the sun bathing, but it is a bathing. It's allowing the rays of the sun to come in, inviting them in, and really just letting whatever needs to warm up and heal to have happen. And that light, especially at solstice, when we're at the longest day of the year, there is the least amount of darkness, and we're inviting in the most amount of light to bring anything from the shadows forth. So that shadow side of ourself is at its kind of quietest or at the smallest. And there's also at every solstice is this thinnest veil between the worlds. So this is a great time to get in touch with the ancestors. It's a great time to give thanks and gratitude. It's a great time to do that sun basking, as well as the earthing you suggested, which also we're going to talk about today with our chakra healing that we've started on the journey of. So get your feet on the ground somehow, get your face in the sun somehow, even if it's just for a few moments. That still does worlds of good for your soul. So as far as the solstice itself goes, right now, this solstice that we're in this weekend, is extremely powerful, enough that I think that it's important to note right now. So we have so many astrological changes going on. And while I do not claim to be an astrologer, I've done a lot of reading, a lot of research, especially about the energy that's coming forth now. So with all the topics that are up in the world today, as well as personal topics, as well as that second chakra work that we're looking at doing, the astrological shifts going on are amazing. And it was really hard to kind of pare down what it was that I thought was most important to share, or I would end up taking up all of our time on this. But suffice it to say that everything is in divine order. If we ever have doubt about that, the astrology right now really brought me back to that point again, because it's just so amazing what's lining up right now with the new moon that we have, a solar eclipse today, the summer solstice yesterday, and huge planetary shifts going on. So it is definitely the time that we are shifting our soul's journey, and we can feel that in the unrest socially, and then we can probably tap in and feel that, and we need to inside ourselves also. This is the energy right now. at its height to really be able to manifest whatever it is that you want to bring forth. So that manifestation piece is a real low-hanging fruit right now. So really the results that you want to bring into your own life that you seek, this is the time to really search and do some introspection and crystallize what those things are. The solar eclipse specifically today is about churning the collective karma, okay, churning it up, kind of unraveling it all, amplifying fear and greed and the venom of racial prejudice. Like, this is literally in the stars and the planets shifting right now. So as I'm reading that, this is where I'm kind of re-amazed again. The energy of the planetary alignments really wants to agitate us. It wants to agitate our hearts and our minds toward needed change. Isn't that amazing? I mean, with everything going on, that's just perfect, right? In divine order. Today is an ideal day to clear karma, to reduce any adverse effects, and to seek that ancestral bond and connection and blessing to create a fulfilled life. We're coinciding with the solstice on the solar eclipse, and this brings in this like apex of solar power. It rises what we normally get from the solar solstice. It brings that energy up and makes it more powerful, and it's a really big catalyst. So it's signaling that major overhaul of any old patterns that no longer serve you, that no longer serve us as a collective. Great time to let them shift out. So any unrest that you're feeling, this is part of it all. This is part of it all. But rather than being, so uncomfortable with it, find that place you can sink a little deeper into it and recognize it's calling you to acknowledge it so that it can shift. Okay. So in this rare and volatile time, let's use this energy wisely. And that's what we plan to do as we move into the rest of our service here. Really interesting story. Lord Shiva's wife, Sati, there's an old story. She threw herself into a sacrificial fire after arguing with her father, who was being disrespectful, and he was very narcissistic, and she was just so overwrought by it all. She threw herself into the fire. And Lord Shiva was so incredibly devastated by this loss that he just had such anger and such a grief that he did what they called the terrible Tandava, which is the dance of destruction. He was so upset, and he did this big dance of destruction. And what that actually destroyed was the cycles of suffering. It brought the cycles of suffering to an end. So what's really interesting is that when we do that kind of work, when we use our anger and when we use our grief and we join with it, as he did in a dance, we alleviate the suffering because we look at it head on. And he took that step and created that story so that we could also see that. So that's something we're going to dive into more today. So as we clear boundaries of self-protection in the months to come, which is also astrological for us, our highest conscious will become the focus, and our spiritual growth will be able to just penetrate so much more into who we are and therefore what we bring out into the world. So the astrology and the stars are reminding us that we are light, that it is our birthright to remember that we are light beings, and that we have the strength to step into whatever is binding us, whatever is holding us back. And now is the time to do that. So Bonnie, would you mind opening the sacred circle for us, and we'll keep moving on with the work we have to do today. Thank you.
Coming together here today, we create a collective divine heartbeat. May we who gather receive the nutrients needed to grow and recognize the divine mystery within. May we experience the reflection of divine love in each other and in ourselves. May our circle always be sacred. honoring the healing, teaching, receiving, and growing of each spirit that enters. May the truth always abide, and peace always bless us. Please join me in saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Oh, okay. I think we got that now. You can hear me. Good. Thank you, Bonnie. That was beautiful. I love creating that sacred circle with everybody and setting that intention as we open. During the opening song, I already smudged the circle and created that connection of clean energy for all of us. And so now, because it's summer solstice, I do want to acknowledge the directions and call in our ancestors here. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath and settle into yourself. And close your eyes, acknowledging the directions with me. So I call in the guardians, the guides, and the ancestors of the East where the sun rises. May we see clearly. May the sun give light to all the shadows, and may we grow in that warmth. I call in the guardians and guides and ancestors of the South. Please help us find our transformation. Please help us not be afraid of it, to sink into it, that we may truly look at truth in its rawest form for ourselves. I call in the guardians and guides and ancestors of the West. Help us to find the introspection for healing. Guide us through that maze and help us release and relinquish all control over that we may just shift into our higher consciousness and our healed place that the divine so openly invites us to with grace. And lastly, I'll call in the guardians, guides, and ancestors of the North. Please bring your ancestral wisdom, your ancient wisdom, so that we may take that introspection and know how to bring it forth into the world, know how to use it in our relationships, that we may all be healed and whole all over the world. We give honor to Grandfather Sky, Mother Earth, and especially the sun today. Oh. So we're exploring the second chakra today. If you're on a computer, and I'm not exactly sure, or it'd be on a phone, probably a tablet, you may want to click speaker view at the top right corner, if you know where that menu is. And that kind of puts everybody else in a smaller square if you want to tune in that way. And if you want to see everybody, then keep it in that gallery view, either one, okay? But not everybody knows how to use that, and I don't think we control that. So, yeah, the second chakra. So really interesting, okay? I want to go over a little bit of last week for those that maybe didn't tune in, okay? We worked with the root chakra, which is about our tribe, which is about being connected to the whole, okay? And we talked about the importance of rooting down in order to do that and connecting with the earth. Now, we do need to review quickly the new beliefs that we're doing this all with, the new framework, right? So spiritual transformation is a task of the soul, not the mind, okay? So when we get this mental chatter, we pull it to the back so that we can settle in there and allow the transformation to happen and not need to do this monkey mind with it, okay? We're also making a very conscious commitment to heal, to make that soul contract that we really want to do that karmic work to heal right now. And then we have the shortcut of the 4 agreements. And we look at that as nothing's personal. The universe doesn't operate that is personal. When things happen, it's not attacking you. It's not about being personal. Individuals also, and today we're getting into relationships. So it's still not personal. And that's the place that feels most personal. So try to really hold that in your heart, not personal, okay? No assumptions based on old beliefs. So we don't want to make that mistake of assuming everything and thinking that everything happens from our perception. So no assumptions, especially based on old beliefs. Truth is important, so be impeccable with your word. We talked about that. I brought that up, and that's why I asked for help from our guardians for that. You know, we really need to look at that raw truth, and sometimes that's challenging. And to bring a pure heart with pure intention. That's neutralizing that ego, that self-judgment, regret. That's really important when it comes to the second chakra work. So kind of just reacquainting ourselves with those. The sacred truth of the second chakra is to honor one another, okay? It's about one-on-one relationships. So we went from that first chakra of being about tribe up to the second chakra. We kind of like pull in a little bit. And this is about one-on-one relationships. How do we relate with other people in the world? One-on-one, not as the community, but in our individual relationships. When we get up to the third chakra, that's going to be more about the relationship we have with ourselves. So you can kind of sense how we go from tribe to others to us. Excuse me. So we're going to focus on this other relationship piece. The color is orange for the second chakra. The location of that chakra is literally 4 fingers below your belly button. Okay, right there. It's also the breathing point if you're into Zen meditation, and other meditations I'm sure use that point as well. But that's where it's located, and the element is water. And so this is a really perfect time to be looking at this because we just crossed into Cancer. Cancer is emotional, and the sign is water, and this is where all of this is going to come together. So the body aspects that we're looking at are digestion, intestines, kidneys, our urinary tract, our sexual reproductive organs, our low back, and a little bit to do with, because it's kind of stomach area, our appetite. But our instinct there is our sexuality. Our passions, our creativity, that's all in the second chakra. So as you reflect on, you know, okay, do I feel restricted in any of these areas? What does that look like? Well, the psychological aspects that show up in those areas are like power, sex, money, control, fear, anger, a little bit of, you know, self-esteem gets attached there, and then that goes up into the third chakra. Have we had abuse in those areas? Any inherited parental issues, those one-on-one things? And so I also don't think that it's a mistake that this all is coming together on Father's Day. So what might your relationship be with your dad, or the relationship of the father of your children, or the relationship you might have with father figures in your life? Or we can go real big and look at what's the relationship with the patriarchy, right? So there's all these different levels that we connect from our sacral chakra to. And when those issues come in as dysfunctions or imbalances, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about that second chakra. So it's controlled with it's tied into our nervous system and our adrenals. And so we can have an adrenal draw. We can have depression, anxiety. These different things can all be connected there when it comes to relationships, one-on-one relationships. So the healing part of that comes from where that chakra becomes stronger. And that's with passion and creativity and sacred love. Okay, so we get that mixed up. If we have that dysfunction, maybe we've played at sex to get love, or played at love to get sex, and we weren't quite straight on what that was all about. And that's a dysfunction of the second chakra. So that second chakra processes the earth energy through from the first chakra, we take that earth energy up through our first chakra into our second, and that second chakra digests the emotional energies into the nervous system. And this is how we actually create some of the dysfunction that we end up having psychologically or physically. When it's functioning properly, that second chakra just sheds the negative emotion and expels them through that first chakra as waste. And we did that meditation last week where we went down through that root system and we were able to deposit to Mother Earth. And that's literally shedding that toxic waste. So when it's functioning properly, that's what it does with your negative emotions when you're not hiding them in the shadows. And so that's obviously really important to being balanced in love, in relationships, in passion and creativity. So when that isn't balanced, we tend to take the opposite of that. So the opposite of love being fear, the opposite of stability, instability, anger, all of these different things that come up, and we take those emotions and they become weapons. Okay. So then that becomes our armor, and we have decided that, like, I'm going to put up a block here. That block may be anger. It may be fear, and that pulls back. And so this is the time to really look at what that is and where it came from. And I do caution you that where these come from in the second chakra, usually were born at the state of psychological development between the ages of 8 and 14. And that's the time that we're learning about relationships and love, control. And oftentimes we have trauma there by adults that didn't understand how to process this themselves correctly. And so we tend to have these wounds in us that we just ended up learning. That lens was the way we saw the rest of our lives and the rest of the world, especially for women, right? So women that may have suffered sexual abuse, which is a power and control issue, that was somehow jaded about sex versus sacred love, that maybe was promiscuous, that just didn't grasp that in that age bracket. This has thrown our sacral chakras off, and it's changed the lens in which we see the world and the way that we inside operate. And the hard part about it is that when that happens, we actually become that which we aren't, not that which we are. We don't grow into ourselves. We kind of get stopped by the defense mechanism that we create. And that defense mechanism is naturally not us, but it protects us, and we take it on. And it's not wrong we take it on. But at some point, bringing it up and looking at it and seeing it and allowing it to release helps us heal and see the world in a better way and find better balance, and gives us back our passion and our creativity and our love again. And we can have better relationships, and we can see the world and really live from a place of greater joy. So this is the importance of really kind of unpacking what might be there for you. I brought up women, especially the women who maybe have suffered rape or sexual abuse. There's a psychological twist that comes in there that not only shuts down the second chakra, but ends up shutting down the fifth. Because with the fear comes this shutting down of the voice, shutting down of the acknowledgement or the ability to speak for oneself. And so we go down, and that actually ends up kind of shutting down all the chakras in between. So our heart can't be open when that happens, and our self-esteem suffers, and we don't have very good relationships with others because now we misunderstand somebody else's wound that has caused fear inside of us. And so we shut down. It's a good survival mechanism. It's amazing the way that we're wired to do this, but we're also wired to heal it. the big piece on that is forgiveness that comes, and it's not necessarily forgiving what somebody may have done that hurt you, but it's forgiving that it happened. It's forgiving yourself mostly, that you took on some sort of shame or blame or regret or some sort of negative aspect about yourself. So when we dive into that, we look at this idea that some of us have just been shamed by the way we were raised religiously. You know, we could easily think that like sex is dirty or passion is dirty, or that, you know, this idea of being creative and this like inside of us, this passion that wants to explode and love the world in a certain way, that's the unique aspect of us as a divine reflection, has kind of been muffled or shut down for a variety of reasons. I go back to the fact that we don't have to figure out all the reasons. We can just do the healing and bring ourselves to a better place. We can pick all that apart and it spins around and we just think, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. And if it's really important for your mind to understand it, then that work can be done. But if we shift to back here, we don't have to go through all of that. We can shift into this higher level of vibration, this healed place where our wounds get to finally close and our perception shifts and our energy raises and we can live a more fulfilled life connected to the divine. So that's what the second chakra is really all about, and that's some of the challenges it brings. Oh, I got going. Now I got to look and see. Is there anything I didn't cover here? No, I think we got most of this. So in our healing, it's important to get quiet and be open with ourselves and be willing to honor that contract that you want to do the work. Okay. And some of the tools that help us unlock this for us, water is a huge one. And water is also governed by the moon. So there's a connection between the moon and water. And that space is a really wonderful place to heal the sacral chakra. So if you can get near a body of water and you feel how it moves you, I'm very connected to water myself. There's probably no place I am happier than on a lake, early morning, quiet, just with the water and a nice hot cup of coffee. But when you can get near a body of water and you feel how it kind of washes through you, that's the healing work for the sacral chakra. You can also take a salt bath. You can also get outside at night and do moon bathing. So we talked earlier about sunbathing or, taking that power of the sun in. But to really get quiet and allow this kind of emotional work to be done and to wash away, the moon offers a lot of really soothing, balming kind of vibration that helps us sink into that space to see what it is from a place that's not fearful. So that's one. Another is, that passion needs to be reignited. So passionate movement is really good, like Shiva in the dance. So if you can get your body to move and dance it all out, that is one way that the sacral chakra can really awaken and realign. So dance is big, or some sort of a body practice that really engages the abdominal muscles. So Tai Chi, certain kinds of yoga, Qigong, all of those body practices get things moving and engage everything in that sacral chakra in a way that it can process. And when it processes, you want to be connected to the earth. So the intention is set to reach those roots down through that root chakra, connect and align the root chakra, connect with your tribe, and then pull up into that second chakra, connect with the emotion, connect with anything going on there, and dance it out, move it out, be in the water, be with the moon. And then the last way is like to get creative. So that's your creative energy. So this is why sometimes you might, like, I get this way. I'm like, oh my God, I just want to paint my house. I got to figure out, I got to find a project. I need to find a project. And I'm very project oriented, but that's because I get stuck in my sacral chakra a lot. And so I need to get creative to get that moving. And I am not really a dancer. That doesn't pull on me. I'm usually asleep before the moon comes out, although I love the moon so much. I love my moon stones. I'll keep those close to me. But I do love to be near bodies of water, and I love to get creative. And whatever project I can find, that's my creative energy. So getting creative also helps. And this is the way our spirit will tell us, hey, it's time to do a little work. So day by day, if we find a little project to get into, we're realigning our second chakra, which is pretty cool. But if you're really diving in deep and doing that deeper work, being mindful, being open-minded to see what's coming up, creating affirmations, using mantras, that's the same for all of them. And so we're going to go through what the mantra would be for the second chakra. The bottom line is we want to feel safe in our physical bodies. And when we don't, that's usually an imbalance of the second chakra. And it usually has something to do with a relationship outside of ourselves. Okay? So we feel unsafe in our bodies, connected to something outside of ourselves, and we want to feel confident again. So that's creating healthy boundaries in relationships. That's understanding when something isn't in your best interest, when something might be toxic, and recognizing that you are worthy of healthy choices. You are worthy of healthy boundaries. Okay. So balancing all of this comes from learning to trust your intuition, while at the same time not allowing yourself to be ruled by every emotion running through you, which is why we go back to age 8 to 14. I mean, we're talking puberty, pre-puberty and puberty. Oh, how was it so easy? It wasn't. To not be yanked around by every emotion as our hormones were developing and our endocrine system was taking hold and everything was happening. And so if the dysfunction got lodged then, that's what we feel now. So ask yourself, are you somebody who has trouble with emotion? Does it yank you around, or can you sit with it and still kind of observe it and recognize that it doesn't have to be in charge? So that's a hard one. And most people are yanked around by their emotions. Most of us are out of balance in our sacral chakra. And as we learned through the summer solstice message in the beginning, that is the state of things right now. The astrology is telling us that we're exactly where we're supposed to be. But we go back to Lao Tzu's quote I gave you last week of, the transformation has to start with us. So this work that we're doing every Sunday, coming here, meeting for Sunday service, this is the work that we're supposed to be doing for our self-transformation. And this is one of the many ways, the most important deep way, that we can really help the transformation of humanity as a whole. Got to do our own work first. So let's tune in and turn on and do some work. Let's apply this, okay? So get comfortable. Get comfortable in the seat of your soul. Get comfortable in the seat of your pants. Take some deep breaths. And reach down with your intention, with your tailbone, down through your legs, through your feet, through the building, all the way to Mother Earth. And root yourself. So don't just feel it, but really put your roots out there, okay? Feel them sink down into the earth, through the warm soil, down into the cold soil. Notice, is it sandy? Is it have a lot of clay? Is it difficult to move through? Just really viscerally get yourself in there, okay? And now, while your roots are there, just bring gently your attention to that space, that second chakra. Even feel it, four finger lengths underneath your belly. And as you breathe, it's the part of you that really pushes out, takes that in breath. So when you breathe into it, breathe love, breathe clarity, breathe truth, breathe compassion, breathe forgiveness. Now, just gently explore where your imbalances might be there. What particular relationships challenge you? Challenge you feeling safe. Challenge you feeling peaceful. Challenge you in a way that maybe pushes you around or doesn't allow you to create good boundaries for yourself. Explore that. And just let people's names pop up in your head, or if you have something that was deeply rooted in a trauma from your childhood, from your adolescence, and just hold that gently in front of you. Just look at it, recognize it, see it, and bring love to it. Bring love to the you at that age who had no idea what was going on, who was manipulated possibly. And just bring love there. And bring forgiveness now to whatever it is inside of you that judges you, that feels shameful, that has that regret attached there. Anything that caps your creativity and your passion. Anything that blocks you from having sacred, loving relationships. Just bring love to it. And now in front of you, whatever it is, whoever it is that might have come up, just put them in a bubble. Put them in a bubble right in front of you. And recognize, look down and see that there's a cord between you two. And that cord has been taking energy from you to that person, that event, that situation, that topic, whatever it is. So with love in your heart, reach up, hold the cord with one hand and take the other hand, and with your intention, cut the cord. Now take both ends of the cord you cut and plug them both up into the universal energy of the divine. Plug them both in there and allow you to be directly connected to the divine right now, as well as whatever that other bubble is to be connected to the divine. And we invite the energy, that healing divine energy, to come through that cord and with divine grace envelop both you and that other bubble with just divine grace, divine forgiveness. And now from your root system, feel Mother Earth sending up the nurturing love that you need, that's just perfect for what it is that you're healing right now. Bringing it up through your legs, into your pelvis, into your first chakra and your second chakra. And just hanging out there, letting Mother Earth give you all that nurturing energy while the divine grace comes in and brings you healing. And so now with that other bubble you've created, gently push it away with positive intention and with love, maybe with the Ho'oponopono prayer, with forgiveness. Just let it coast away and know that it's connected to the divine and you don't have to serve it anymore. And that this is just simply inviting in the transformation that you need to bring your second chakra back into balance. Allowing yourself, just opening and allowing harmony to happen without needing to understand it. And so with that, in order to stay in our cerebellum, in order to allow that to just wash through us and allow that sense of water energy, that vibrational energy, Mother Earth, divine grace, to just continue to vibrate, we're going to chant Vam Om. Just like Gadal taught us. Vam Om, Vam Om. Going back and forth, allowing that left brain, right brain to reorient the cellular activity in our bodies. Vam Om, Vam Om, Vam Om, Vam Om, Vam Om, Vam Om, Vam Om. Now let's bring that into full balance with ourselves with 3 ohms. Allow the connection with Mother Earth to stay strong while you bring your intentional energy back up into your body. Breathe in and open your eyes. You feel that in your belly? Whew! That was a lot of vibration. Very strong connection. You guys have quite the circle going today. Thank you. Thank you, because you serve my healing too. And I'm not a preacher or a teacher. I just share what I know to remind you of what you already know, and that we're all just different reflections to remind each other of the wisdom we have as we go forward on this journey. So with that, sit with that energy while we have a meditation song.
You just might have a problem that you don't understand. We all need somebody to lean on. You just come over when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. You just might have a problem that you don't understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
If there is a load you have to bear that you can carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me.
Call me. I'm right up the road. Just call me, baby. I'm right up the road. I'm a friend. Call me. Call me. I'm right up the road. You gotta call me. I'm a friend. Call me. I'll carry your load. Call me. I'll carry your load.
So leaning on each other, that's part of that one-on-one relationship. And when we're out of sync, we know that we're each other's reflections on how we also get back. So our relationships are also part of our healing. Heal the ones that are still wounded and lean on the ones that are strong for us. And that's the way we all come together. So thank you so much for being a part of today, whether you're tuning in now or later. We really appreciate it. And so for a blessing, since it's Father's Day, we're going to tie that back in. We've got lots to be grateful for, lots to bless. So, Great Spirit, today we offer deep gratitude for the sun, for the mysteries of the universe, for the opportunity to journey with others, and for the grace to heal. We especially ask your blessing on all fathers today, for new fathers, coming into terms with new responsibility, for those who are trying to balance the demands of work, marriage, children, for those who are trying to lead their family during this difficult time, for those who have to struggle to be a part of their child's life, for those who are unable to feed their children due to poverty, for those whose children have physical, mental, or emotional disabilities, for those whose children have been placed for adoption, for those who love and support has offered healing, for those that have adopted a child into their family, for those who have lost a child, for those who care for the children of others, for those whose children have left home, for those that have passed over, and for those that aren't in sight right now and are home by themselves or in a nursing home by themselves. We also ask for healing for those who are blinded by their ignorance, greed, or anger, for those that we don't have good relationships with. Bless all fathers that they may be able to commit themselves selflessly as mentors, protectors, teachers, as they shape the direction of their child's character by giving love, care, and guidance through their heart. Bless them to open any resistance to the universal gifts happening, to all the shifts that are happening, that they may evolve and release the patriarchal ways that are embedded in their cellular karma that we all carry as we move into this new realm of light. Bless all fathers that they may lead their children to know and do what is good, living not for themselves alone, but for God and for others. Aho.
Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright. Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Ooh, it's alright. Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, little darling. Here comes the sun. It's alright. Here comes the sun.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. I love connecting with you. Thank you for that wonderful, heartfelt message, Deb. If any of you have feedback or suggestions, talks you would like to hear, please feel free to email Melinda or Deborah. And if you are able to give your love offering to support our continued operations, it would be much appreciated. There's information in the invite email sent out. There's a donation module for electronic offerings on our website, and checks can always be sent as well. During the shelter-in-place order, we prefer checks to be sent to Melinda's home address, which is shared in the invite email too. So please stay with us for a bit for fellowship. If you want to get up and take a break, stretch a little bit, get a cup of tea, come back and visit with each other. We hope you'll stay with us. If not, have a beautiful week, and we hope to see you next Sunday.